without any further ado, I wanted to introduce our topic of today. It's boundaries, right? And everyone who knows me knows that I start off with little jokes about, and I get my jokes from my best writer, and that's ChatGPT. Some people have a sponsor, some people have a therapist. Don't judge me, I use a robot. Yeah, and so I asked a robot to help me explain boundaries to a room full of people who still want to call their exes right now, so there's that. So I asked Chat for a joke about boundaries, and this is what it said, so it's not funny. Just want to let you know they're going to have to work on that part of the algorithm. A boundary is when you say, I'm not doing that anymore, and your family then starts negotiating. Well, if you can't do that today, then when can you do it, right? And that's... I told you it wasn't funny.
Funny.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, well, I mean, it's funny enough for this show, I think, right? And it's clean, and that's good. So a lot of people love your boundaries in theory, but when it comes down to, and they support your growth, and they support your healing, and they support your recovery, until your boundary starts to inconvenience them. And then suddenly your healing has gone too far. And that's why boundaries are really so important in recovery, because addiction really destroys boundaries. And it destroys our boundaries with other people. It destroys our boundaries with ourselves. It destroys our boundaries with whatever higher power or spirituality that we have. It destroys our financial stability, our ability to have intimacy with other people. All of those things are kind of boundary violations with ourselves and with other people. So in our addiction, we kind of ask, what can I get away with? And in recovery, that question really becomes, what do I need to protect so I can live differently? What do you need to protect? I was talking about this subject with our guests. I have really a lot of great guests on the show today. I have Kelly, I have Barrett, I have Susan. I love them so much. And I also have Kaylee here, right? I was kind of like, that was my joke, is like, oh, I loved all these people, and then I have Kaylee. But I guess it was the delivery wasn't very good. Yeah. But they can like both of us, Kaylee. Okay, good. I'm just joking. I like you too. I was just trying to make a joke out of it. I didn't do that to Kelly because I figured she might take it too personally on that. So anyway, so we have a lot of people to talk to about boundaries today, and I was talking about boundaries to someone today, and she said when she talks, first of all, I had no idea what a boundary was until I started, trying to recover from drugs and alcohol, and therapists started talking to me about boundaries, and I was like, what do you mean boundaries? I'm from the South, right? We don't have boundaries in our families. So the way that we were raised is not like our parents sat there and like, oh, this is a good boundary or this is a bad boundary. So the concept of me having some kind of wall or fence between me and other people is something that I had to really kind of understand, like, what am I walling in and what am I walling out, and where do I end and where does somebody else begin? And so we'll take those subjects, we'll talk about them a little more. But this counselor said to me, and it was really interesting, she said, I don't use the word boundary, I use expectations, because people have expectations of me, and then I have to have expectations of other people. But if I don't let other people know what my expectations are of them, then how are they going to read my mind about that? I've got to be able to tell people what I expect from them for them to treat me with the respect that I need. And quite often we feel disrespected when we don't even communicate to other people appropriately about what's good and what's bad for us. And the other thing that we'll talk about today a little bit is that boundaries is a spiritual practice. And when I say practice, it means that we don't know how to do it and we got to practice how to do it. Our videographer here is named Randy. Randy is our sponsor. He owns a gym called Imperium in Ruston, which is an awesome place. But when clients come to Randy, they don't know how to do the moves for weightlifting or for CrossFit. And so people have to practice that. They start from a zero and then they have to move through it, like pull-ups and different types of things. You could hurt yourself really badly on that. And that's the same for us. We don't know how to set boundaries. It's a practice. We have to learn how to do that. So we'll talk about that with our experts and Kaylee today. And gotcha. almost. I had a few on that. This is a tough crowd, man. It's a real tough crowd. All right, but without further ado, one of my favorite parts of this program is the time that we spend with our clinical director. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Lynham. What's up, man? I love that. We shake hands. We just saw each other 15 minutes ago. I love that part. Right? It's all right. So we were talking a little bit earlier about boundaries in your office, and I asked you what the most difficult boundary you ever had to set was. And I thought it was an interesting answer that you gave. Because I think we all have this.
So the biggest boundary, my mom helped us establish really good boundaries growing up, and she taught us that. And one of my boundaries was when I graduated college, all my buddies smoked weed. And I was moving on professionally and personally in my life, and so I had to kind of set boundaries with them, saying, I'm not going to be around you while you're doing that. It's got negative consequences for me. So if you want to do that, do it elsewhere. Don't do it around me. And I didn't lose the friends through that, but our relationship changed because I wouldn't be around them as much. We didn't share stuff with each other because I wasn't participating any longer. I had moved on. And so that was one of the biggest boundaries because, they were a huge part of my life. We all went to school together, we had classes together, and it changed everything. And for the better, I think, and they're all successful now, so they grew up too. But, it's something that had to change, and it changed, for me when I graduated school.
Yeah, and that was something that I had said when I got my recovery. People would act very weird about whether they could or couldn't drink in front of me, and they wouldn't ask that question, right? Did I have a boundary about that, or so I don't mind it when people have a drink around me. But it's my choice whether I can walk away when they start, getting to that part of the party when they're not looking or talking to you anyway anymore. So that's important. What do you think the most important thing about boundaries is that a person in recovery needs to know?
I think knowing your limitations, knowing where you can and can't be. You can't. When you leave here, you're going to have tools and coping skills that we hopefully provide you and that you'll be able to use once you get out of here. But part of those are you're going to have to make changes with who you're hanging around, the places you go, the behaviors you do. And you're going to have to change those. And so I think changing them while you're here, getting in a good mindset, getting yourself prepared to go is what we're here for. And it's what you're here for. And we hope we give you those tools. Yeah,
and we were talking earlier, it's like, here's where you want to identify where your triggers are so that you can put boundaries around that. And we were talking about with my family, I wasn't able to really set those boundaries with them early in my recovery because I just didn't have the vocabulary or the practice to do it. So I had to move away for a little while to do that.
Well, we have boundaries everywhere, and you and I were talking about, professional boundaries and personal boundaries. And I told you the story about my mom, who her best friend was her boss, and they hung out on the weekends, and they went and ate with each other. And my mom was up for a promotion, and she was up there with another lady, and my mom didn't get the promotion at the time. She later got it in a different area, but she didn't get it at the time, and she was really bummed out. She was like, I have this personal relationship with my best friend, and she chose someone over me. And so she finally had to realize, she had to reestablish her professional and personal boundaries with her. And I think we have to do that in every aspect of our life. Any relationship we have to put ourselves where, this is where my security, well-being, safety ends and theirs begins. And so we've got to protect ourselves with our boundaries, because with them, we make healthy decisions, we cope with things well, and that's what we do with our professional and personal boundaries.
Yeah, we talk a lot about identity, and someone's kind of like, what my identity is. I think your boundaries really help you, help other people understand how you see yourself in that way. So, what do you think? What else did you want to say about anything else before we go to Ask Barrett?
No, let's do it.
No, let's do it. All right, okay. By the way, we have a client, let's call this client A, who decided to decorate our podcast booth. Look at this.
Oh, nice.
Look at all this.
Yeah.
It says do what makes you happy. Well, not everything, right? Your recovery is a process. I thought it said your recovery is a podcast, but it's definitely, for us, maybe a little bit. Oh my gosh, look at this. We are rich in questions. They are. This podcast. You ready? Go ahead.
What about a date night that's supervised by staff?
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
That's not
because
it's not going to happen.
Forming a relationship with another sick person is a great idea.
I mean,
all right.
being in rehab here, this is not, a place where we want you to establish a relationship that's intimate. You need to be working on yourself here, so you can go out there and succeed. We're not going to do any relationships here.
Yeah, this is, our game show is not like the dating game here. It's not it.
Why do we self-sabotage?
Ooh, why is it that we do that? Why do we do that?
I think for some of us, it's a coping mechanism. It's something that's ingrained in us. We're people pleasers. We hate to say no. We don't want to feel abandoned. So in order not to feel those things, then we self-sabotage ourselves in order to stay in the role that we provide. And I think y'all talked about different family dynamics there, and I think that's, lost child, hero, scapegoat, all that. I think that's part of, why we self-sabotage is we establish those roles that we have together.
Yeah, and so many of us don't feel worth it, right? We just don't feel worth success. We don't, and it scares us because our own self-image is low. So if I succeed, I feel like a fraud. So yeah, I think for us, our self-esteem has been put into the gutter, and so that part of recovery is us finding that self-confidence to be assertive enough to set a boundary. So there you have it.
Can any of the clients be a guest host on the Ask Barrett show?
With a mask on, I think a guest host would be a great idea. How about you get 6 months of recovery and you come back here and you tell us about what your experience, strength, and hope was?
That's right.
With the mask on?
Huh?
With the mask on?
Oh, you can come back after 6 months, perhaps, with certain
We met certain parameters, and
Yeah.
depending on how you were
Signing
doing
all the
and
paperwork.
everything, and that's a possibility. Something we can think about.
We'd
for
love
sure.
to do that kind of segment on here. So y'all get your recovery and come back and get on the show. We'd love to see you on that.
Another one.
There's a lot in here, Barrett.
Tell us about the wildest physical fight. We're not going to discuss.
Yeah,
Violence.
that's a way to just, you set a boundary there.
Yeah.
You're like, we're not discussing that.
No.
Yeah, okay, good.
One last one.
Wait. Last week, some client C, D, or E basically was like, well, Barrett didn't read my question on the podcast. I know. Yeah,
Oh,
well, shh,
I'm sorry.
whatever, I know. Her question was, what is your
I
background?
took my question out and put their question in.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
wow.
But I found out the answer to the question more than answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna have to make your voice sound like the devil when you speak to us up here. You're like, yeah, just to masked voice.
This
All right.
one is a question. Do you know how grateful we all are for Lincoln Nova? Very. Thanks, men and women.
Good one.
Thank you. That's a good one to end on. Thank you. Thank you. I'll throw them in.
Do you want to keep these for next time?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Barrett. Appreciate
All
that.
right.
Wait. Anything else you need to say here, or are you going to just run back in here with whatever?
So we have new, next, not this weekend, but next, we have new things. We got y'all surveys in, we ran the reports on them. We're gonna be able to offer some more things on the weekend for you guys not to be bored. Y'all have stuff to do and be recovery-led, recreation, stuff like that from the techs and from the Tyra. We'll get you set up so you won't be too much downtime on the weekend.
Yeah, so the way that's going to play out is that Saturday will be Tech Rec Day. So we've added several events and all that, and your techs will be responsible for all of those events, and then also Tyra will have our regular events and all of that. Then on Sunday, we have Community Rec Day, which will really be led by our community leaders and our tribal leaders, which will lead up to, at the end, at 3:30, we're gonna have a much more expanded graduation program where you get your honor certificates and that type of thing. So there's a whole lot that we're gonna be changing on the weekends to really accommodate two things. You did say that, Sunday's gonna be a little more relaxed than Saturday because you gotta have some kind of downtime. Saturday's gonna be full of stuff and a lot of activities for you guys to engage in, and a lot of diverse activities from that. Then Sunday will really be about you really preparing for the next week and as a community coming together. Your graduation will be the entire community just like this together, and watching everybody graduate and welcoming new members just like we do, but we'll take what we have with Tribal and we'll expand on it a little more. Thank you, Barrett, for kind of being the yes man on all of that. We really appreciate it. The yes man on all that. All right, and now we move to our, never put your back to the camera, right, Randy? No. Yeah, so, no. Now we move to our next segment, which is with Kaylee, Artists in Recovery. What's up, Kaylee? What did you... How are you doing? Do I get to shake your hand? Oh, good. Have a seat, have a seat. It's funny. Wow, funny.
He got coffee on the podcast.
I did. I get my own coffee. You want some?
No, I'm good, thank
Good.
you.
I always work. Want some? What are you going to do?
The podcast.
Okay, well, I mean, this is Artists in Recovery. It's your segment right now.
Okay.
So what happened this week, or if you want to bring your
masked
masked
up.
men and women up. Ooh, okay. Well, you want to start? I don't know. Wait. Yeah, you don't have to accept that. You can set a boundary and be like, no, I'm second. All right. Okay. Very good.
I wrote while I drew it. Can y'all hear me? I wrote while I drew it. So I drew the cross and ribbon, which reads one day at a time, because without my higher power, my sobriety would be in real trouble. In order for me to stay sober, my higher power helps me stay grounded, which is why I drew the flowers. Wait a minute, okay. I have to take my sobriety one day at a time. There is no way I would have made it this far without the help of Nova Vital and without the help of my counselor, Mr. Terry. And lastly, I burnt the border of my pencil drawing to represent me being rough around the edges. It's giving addiction. Thank y'all.
Yeah. How about that? Randy, you get up close on all that? Do you get up close? I'm gonna here. Stay right back where I was. Bring it to you. So you see the cross here.
Thank you.
I love the shading that you do. It's quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. And I like that you burned it and all. But I don't know. I don't want to encourage the pyromaniac in you. But it really looks good from an
I like
art
the burnt
standpoint. I'm
part.
glad we found a frame for it.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you. You proud of her?
I am proud of her. She did so good.
She did so good. She did a call out for Mr. Terry, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
I like the burnt part personally.
Yeah. I mean, I do too.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying I didn't like that. I had this image of her basically back there in the women's like.
When she first showed it to me, I was like, oh, we gave her a lighter. Okay.
And we wonder why our fire alarm goes off so much. Beyond the vaping, right? Okay.
I was outside.
Oh wow. Okay, well that's good. That part's good.
I wanted her to go first because honestly, I do like hers a lot better, but hers is more detailed than mine.
All right. Well, let's see what you got here.
Well, you had like 5 other
How about
drawings.
self-criticism? Doesn't help a lot. Artists in Recovery.
Mine took me like 5 days.
All right, here we go.
Mine only took me like 10 minutes.
Client D. Go ahead.
My bad. Alright, so mine is basically 7 means completion. And I got 7 on here a few times. I don't know if y'all in the back can see it, but I have Never Alone on the wings that's coming up and wrapping around the heart. You know what I'm saying? And like, so, yeah. My bad. Ghetto side came out a little bit. It's all good though. Still working on that. But so it's a heart with the wings and a banner. And without faith, we can't really get nowhere. You know what I'm saying? But so I have a really big passion and a lot of love for art, and I'm very blessed for God giving me this gift. I've been drawing since I was 5 years old, and it's one of the most amazing outlets that I've had, to be able to get past and overcome all the pain and everything that I've been through in my life, and it just takes me away from everything. So that's why I've been drawing a lot. In my addiction, I wasn't really drawing much, because I was distracted by other things that wasn't good. But this time, since I've been in Nova Vital, which is a really amazing place, and I'm very grateful for this place, I started back drawing again, and I'm getting better and better each and every day, and I'm using that as a motivational push to keep moving forward. So instead of using it to distract me from my pain and everything I was going through, I'm using it as an outlet to be able to direct and help direct my energy in a more positive way to keep moving forward.
All right, Buck. Appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that.
So when's the talent show?
Wow. Yeah, when's the talent show? Not this Saturday. Well, maybe, look, it depends on Tyra wants to do a talent show this Saturday, then it's up to Tyra on all that. But we start our new programming. We start our new programming next weekend, right? So that gives us a little time to get it organized. Take us a little time to get it organized, right?
ChatGPT helps.
So tell me, yes, yes it does. So we admit it. Tell me anything in parenting this week that you wanted to tell us about that came up, or anything interesting that you want to?
No, it's always really good in parenting. They all seem to enjoy it and all seem to be able to talk about their issues that they're dealing with, and we just kind of try to make light of a heavy situation when it comes to stuff like that, and we get to kind of laugh and joke around but still talk about the serious issues they're dealing with at the same time.
Great. Oh, will you pass that roster around while I invite our next guest in? I appreciate that. Thank you. Y'all sign the roster. Get on your honors program. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kelly. Is that right, Randy? Okay. I'm gonna let you guys, I think you all have something that you're gonna.
Oh, on boundaries?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay, so this week in family issues, we went a little off of the schedule, and some people had been asking about me and my story, and so I brought my son to work with me, and everybody got to meet him as he is, and we talked about that. So that was, really after I set some boundaries, because I had some people that were really disrespectful, that were trying to get up and get coffee in the middle of my story, and yeah. So we had to tone it down a bit on the coffee. But so today, since it's boundaries is what we're studying today and what we're talking about, Kaylee and I are going to do a little skit for you. We're going to demonstrate some not so strong boundaries, and then how to maybe change that and come back with a little bit stronger, and to set boundaries, especially with family. So, all right, ready?
Okay. I really need a pack of cigarettes and some food. Can I borrow $20?
Well, I mean, I really don't have $20 to spare. I still got to put gas in my car to go to work next week.
I can pay you back as soon as I get some money.
Well, when do you think that's going to be? Because you don't even have a job.
I'm not really sure. I'm going to try to sell some stuff on Facebook Marketplace this week, and I'll try to give you the money then.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess I could give you the 20, Kaylee, but I mean, I really, as soon as you can, I need you to pay me back.
Okay, thanks. See you next time.
I'm
It's really how I be, y'all. It's like that.
All right, so like 15 minutes later.
Okay. Do you think you could drive me to the airport at 4 a.m. tomorrow?
First of all, how you going to the airport when you don't have any money? You've just borrowed $20 from me. But second of all, I got to go to work. I got a job I got to get to, but
You don't have to be there until 7.
I know, and it's a bad part of town over there, so, and I guess you don't have, I guess I'll have to get my kids up early and get them in the car, and because I can't leave them at home by themselves, so I guess I will.
Okay, thanks. I'd love to see the kids. Do you think you can listen to my problems for 3 hours tonight?
Well, I was gonna try to be watching Euphoria, but I guess, you know, if you call after 9, I mean, it'll put me late to bed, but since you're, you know, since you're my friend and you don't have anybody else to listen to you, yeah, just call me and I'll listen.
Thanks, Miss Kelly. You're such a great friend that listens to all my problems. Do you think you can keep my kid tonight?
Well, where are you going?
I'm probably just gonna go hang out with some of my friends when we get to the bar.
Well, I mean, I was gonna take a bubble bath and do some self-care tonight, since, you know, my kids are going to their dads, so.
You could probably
I mean,
give my
is it-
kids a bath too.
Well, that's not really the self-care that but you know what, it sounds like fun. We'll pop some popcorn and watch movies and make a palette or whatever. So just, yeah, you haven't done anything. You know, I feel like you hadn't been out in a long time. So yeah, I'll do that for you.
Thanks. Also, do you think I could borrow your car?
All right, I think we get the point on all of this. If you say yes to this one, I'm firing you.
Okay, so,
My counselor says no is a complete.
right, well, you see the thing, but you can go ahead and ask me the last question. 'Cause
Okay, the last one is, can I stay at your house for a few days? I promise you won't even know I'm there. It'll just be me, my cat, and 2 birds.
I mean, I can't let my friend go to the homeless shelter and they won't let her bring her cats and her birds. And, you know, I do have an extra room, a little bit extra space. So, I mean, I can't put her out in the streets. I mean, and then she might go to somebody else's house that's not safe. And so, yes, Kaylee, I mean, you can come, you can just bring your stuff. Just promise me, you know, that you're going to try to find somewhere more permanent.
Thank you, Miss Kelly. You're the best friend ever. You let me do whatever I want.
Okay.
Is she your best friend? Isn't she just
No, she's
Yeah.
an enabler.
She's enabling her
Yeah.
to just do all of this bad behavior and all of this.
So now, real quick, you can ask me if you just re-ask some of them, and we'll see how the.
Do you think I could borrow $20?
Well, I would love to give you $20, Kaylee, but I don't get paid until next Friday, and I need a tank of gas to get to work, and so I just don't have it this time. You're just going to have to find it somewhere else. I just don't have it to give you. I love you, and I would if I could, but I just don't have it.
Do you think you could keep my kids tonight?
No, I can't because I already have plans to, you know, get in the bubble bath and just watch Netflix and then, you know, just relax. And my kids are gone, so it's going to be nice and quiet. So I just can't do it this time. Sorry, you'll have to ask your mom or sister or somebody else.
Can I stay at your house for a few days? I promise you won't even know I'm there. It'll just be me, my cat, my 3 cats, and 2 birds.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Kaylee. I mean, as much as I love spending time with you, I mean, I also like time away from you. And your birds and your cats stink. And I don't really like pets inside my house. And it's really, you know, I don't know. I just like having my own space when I come home from work and just having my space. And so I don't think we can do, I don't think that would be good for our friendship. I just don't think we can do that. So I'm going to have to say no.
Well, thank you for setting boundaries with me, Miss Kelly.
Yeah, but when you say that, you'd be like, but you always came. Why are you suddenly have boundaries? You haven't had boundaries before.
Yeah.
Like, why are you suddenly so, Kelly set a boundary. Kelly's setting boundaries now.
I know. And,
Right.
Well, if you love me.
Right.
If you don't give me $20,
Oh, I see. It's
I'm
all
gonna
about
go
you
use.
now.
Right. So all that. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for
You're welcome.
bringing that to mind because we don't know how to say no, or right. It's very hard for us to say, or more likely it would be, no. Right? We're very rigid with our no's instead of just being like, hey, I love your kids, but not tonight.
Right. And you can
Right?
say it and still be caring, and they're going to get mad and try to manipulate and.
And
you
this can
know.
also help when you're thinking about how other people have to set boundaries with y'all, too.
Right.
So-
It doesn't mean that they don't love you or care about you or even want your sobriety. just because they say no.
Yeah, well, they're saying no because they've had experience, and it's just,
Yeah.
they're tired, man, and they need to take care of themselves. And that's the one thing we teach families outside of here that are dealing with this, is that y'all take care of yourselves, right? They need to start taking care of themselves.
Right.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Kelly, would you give a microphone to our next guest, Susan?
Stick it on.
The Regional Clinical Director of Nova Vital.
You look so pretty.
All right. Susan is,
so sweet.
is the Regional Clinical Director of Nova Vital, so she's on top
Hello,
of
everybody.
the clinical directors at our IOP in Monroe and Shreveport, and the clinical director in our newest facility in Natchitoches.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
Yes.
So, I know.
Great.
So much work to do on all of that.
So much, but I have to say that when Kelly was responding with those non-existent boundaries, I was feeling exhausted
Yeah.
because it's exhausting to not have boundaries.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so the reason I'm having you on in this is because I don't know anyone else who sets more boundaries more gracefully than you do. And even, for yourself, like, I know your personal boundaries, like, hey, I really had a really wonderful time at Nova Vital, and I want to step back a little so I can do things for myself, so that I can have some time for myself, because that was compromised a little bit in these past few years when we've been growing so hard.
Right.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you learned how to have boundaries? Who taught you?
So that was a learning process. One of the things, I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery for a long time now. And one of the things I began to learn is that as I began to get sober, I began to feel, okay? And I began to feel what was uncomfortable and what wasn't uncomfortable. And so that was my journey of boundaries, is to begin to recognize that intuitively we know what the way we need to respond is, but we need to vocalize it, because many of us will feel it like, I really don't want to do that, and then we go, okay, yeah, but really it's about getting your voice. So I had to learn to really get my voice and to speak my voice, and to recognize that a boundary it defines who I am. In other words, I'm not bleeding into anybody else, and nobody else is bleeding into me, so that I can really be who I've been meant to be.
So one of the interesting things about you is that you have a tremendous energy level, and you do a whole lot. And so I used to think, oh, you're doing so much and all, but I don't know how you do the balance between being present for, like, when someone comes and spends time with you, you're fully present with them. And I wonder how much that takes a lot of energy. How do you stop that? Or how do you say, okay, well, that's enough for today, I'm gonna go do X, Y, Z. How do you find that balance?
I think it's being mindful. I think it's being mindful and looking at what it is that somebody's bringing in to me to talk with them, for me to be able to give back to them in the best way, but to also know that it doesn't have to go, I don't have to wear it. I don't have, whatever that problem is from somebody isn't my problem. It's their problem. And so I can just be there for them in order to help them work through that particular issue. So don't take it home.
So that's your boundary. You have a spiritual boundary about other people's stuff. You can hear it without it getting in here, and you could just basically. So that must have been something it took time to learn. I know it took me a little bit of time, because I walk into trauma every day, and then I have to walk out. So you learn how to do that a little bit. You're one of my mentors with regard to, because you handle things so gracefully. I have never seen you have a rigid, nasty boundary with someone where you basically were like, no, get out of my office, or,
No, I try to handle people with respect. If you respect me, I respect you. That's kind of how it goes.
So what is the hardest boundary that you ever had to set?
The hardest personal boundary was involving my sister. My sister was, she was a drinker, she still is, But she had my daughter, and what I learned is that she was drinking with my daughter and then driving with my daughter. And so I had to set that boundary that said, I'm so sorry. I love you, and because I love you and because I love my daughter, she's no longer allowed at your house.
Wow. Yeah, that's a real tough. We were talking earlier this week about you having boundaries with certain members of your family that weren't your direct family, but you had said, and I love this quote, but with your real family, like the family of origin, it's organic was the word that you used and all of that. Like you have an organic relationship, so it's much harder to see them as this is where my sister ends and where I begin. This is where, my...
It is, they get blurry. Sometimes it's blurry, you have to begin to meander and navigate through those systems and recognize where your boundary is. And in recovery, one of the most important things is knowing the boundary of what do I need to do to protect my sobriety. That is a number one boundary that you're gonna encounter once you get out of here is, okay, what do I need to do in order to remain sober? And making sure that you set those boundaries with other people so that when they go, hey man, we've got so-and-so, that you're able to say, no, I'm so sorry, but I can't make it. And know when you can, what you need to go to and what you don't need to go to.
Yeah, and I think, again, starting not with the hardest boundary, but starting with some of the easier boundaries and getting some confidence under that, it's going to be really important. So that my practice, that if I start out and try to set a boundary with someone who just is not, it's not going to work, then the message I'll tell myself quite often is, oh, I can't set a boundary, or I'm not worth it, and then you just kind of give up. But I think if you start with first of all, remove yourself from people that you're having difficulty setting boundaries with probably.
Right.
And that's why, for me, with sober living and being away from New Orleans and my family, I love my family to death, but I could have loved them to my death, right?
Right.
So being away was really important for me, and then I was able to build up some ability to set bookends when I met with them, and really begin to be my authentic self and be able to be assertive. No, I can't stay an extra hour, or no, I don't really want to go to that restaurant tonight, or to be able to, to be assertive is really, really, it's hard for us at first, and then...
It is. Physical distance sometimes is advantageous for you to kind of just limit your time and know that if an area, like I came from New Orleans, I sobered up from New Orleans too, and it was there was no green light for me to go back there. It was like, no, that's not going to help me in my sobriety, because I also knew that it would be way too easy and way too accessible for me to just backtrack right back into where I came from. So it was about setting that physical boundary in order so that I could develop more emotional and mental stability and boundaries, so that then I could decide later on if I wanted to interact with anyone down there.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
So when I conceptualize, when I think about this, it's like your boundaries really revolve around, in early recovery, your triggers, knowing what they are, whether the physical, the places, the people, all of those things that are problematic for us. We've got to build a wall around for a little while until we can slowly get back into it.
You do. You really have to protect yourself on that and know what, going to, say for instance, boundaries of even to this day, and I've been sober since 1988, okay? It's been a minute. So some of y'all are so knowing that even today you will not see me walk down the aisle of a grocery store that has liquor. You won't see me do it. Why? Because I have no business doing that. Plus, they start singing and dancing and talking to me and things like that. So it's like, why would I put myself in that situation? So the boundary is knowing what to do in order to protect yourself, because the disease is strong and it's very powerful, and it will tell you otherwise.
Yeah, and I think the other side is knowing yourself well enough to know what you like and what you don't like, and then being able to stand on that, to stand on that.
Right, right.
So I don't think anyone who interacts with you doesn't understand how to interact with you, because you present yourself in a way that allows that to happen. And that's what I call grace, from what you and for me, you've taught me a tremendous amount about that. Here, in my earlier recovery, when you were there and that, I was always, you don't know this, but a lot of our staff members will be like, well, what would Susan do, right? Because you have been able to, and I know that's not just because it's natural, it's because we work on ourselves over a long period of time, that we're self-reflective, that we think about what is it that I do or do not like, that we hit that pause button and we answer that question that way. I want to thank you for being that type of person for me. You've been an incredible mentor, and I'm just so glad to have met you and to have worked with you, and then also another difficult boundary, to be professional with somebody and also to be their friends. And I like having had both relationships with you, because you were able to really create a boundary for that. So thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And that brings us to the close of our episode on boundaries. So thank you guys for coming, and I will see you guys tomorrow.